Hello everybody, how you doing? I hope you're all doing really well. Welcome back to my channel. As you can tell by the title, I'm bringing back the midweek meals. A lot of you guys have asked for them and there's been some really nice comments on my previous midweek meals, which I will link down below. This is gonna be my 5 ingredients for 5 meals for midweek, and they're all going to be vegetarian. So if you do want to follow along at home, do absolutely. I will leave all of the ingredients and the methods down below if you want to check them out. Do give the video a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Without further ado, let's get cracking. So the first meal that we're going to make is a delicious pesto pasta. It's super simple. I know pesto pasta sounds so basic, but trust me, it is fantastic. And then I will tell you the list of ingredients you're going to need, and then we'll continue throughout the week. So let's go. Okay, so for the 5 ingredients, you're going to need some spinach, some I always forget how you say this, conchigle pasta. Use whatever pasta you have or you can find, and this is actually really tricky to find, but yeah, penne if you've got it, spaghetti, whatever you fancy. We're going to use some pesto. I know a lot of people say pesto isn't vegetarian, obviously. I mean, you know, you can make your own pesto, but it's more ingredients. It hasn't got any animal meat in it, but it does have animal rennet from the parmesan. So if you do want to make your own pesto, make it completely vegetarian, you can, but we're just using jarred pesto. Obviously there's still no meat in this. We're going to use some cream cheese to make it nice and creamy, and 2 courgettes. So your 5 ingredients. You can be really cheeky and add a 6th ingredient, which we're going to just saute some garlic. If you have some garlic lying around, bang it in. If you don't, just stick to the 5. Okay, just to kickstart the midweek meals, you guys are just going to need a couple of stock-up ingredients. We've got some olive oil, some salt, some pepper, garlic and vegetable stock. So for our pasta, first we started by just chopping the courgettes into discs and then into matchstick style pieces. And then you need to boil a kettle for the pasta. Then into a shallow frying pan, I just added some oil and then added the kettle water to the pan. And then I cooked the pasta to packet instructions. And then going back to the frying pan, I just added the garlic to the oil and then added in the courgette. And then I just lightly fried that in the garlic oil just until it started to soften. Then I added in the pesto. I added around half a jar of pesto, but you can add more or less depending on the taste. Then I added some of the reserved pasta cooking water that just is full of flavour, guys. Never throw away the pasta water because it just adds so much to your sauce. And then I added a whole pack of cream cheese into the frying pan. And then I just stirred all that together to make a nice, creamy, silky, smooth sauce. And then I just added the sauce to the cooked pasta, and then we just stirred it all together to make the pasta nice and coated, and then finished it with some fresh spinach. We didn't actually have the heat on at this point, just the residual heat in the pasta made the spinach wilt down beautifully. And then I just seasoned it up with some pepper and some salt, and then that was good to serve. So you can of course make this for as many people as you are cooking for. This made more than enough for me and Zara, and I just finished it with some fresh parmesan, or you can use vegetarian cheese like we are, and a little bit of pepper and some olive oil, and that is it. It is so good, guys. Super creamy and really indulgent. As you can see, I am enjoying it. So it is Tuesday and we are making a vegetarian toad in the hole. I know a lot of people might not know what toad in the hole is if you aren't from the UK, but it's essentially a sausage in a Yorkshire pudding batter mix. So it's like, it's one of life's joys. I absolutely love it. 5 ingredients as well, super simple, so I'm going to show you what you need. So this is your 5 ingredients. I am using the Linda McCartney vegetarian sausages because they're our favourite and we managed to find some in our shop. So yeah, I'm using these. You need some plain flour, some milk, we're using lacto-free semi-skimmed milk, and then you need 2 eggs, and we're going to serve it with some garden peas. You also need some sunflower oil. I don't know if you can class that as an ingredient. I'm presuming you guys have oil. If you don't have sunflower oil, vegetable oil works the same. But yeah, these are your 5 ingredients. Okay, so to make the toad in the hole, you need to preheat your oven to around 220 degrees. I know it seems quite high, but the sausages need to brown and then the Yorkshire pudding needs to rise up. So into an oven-proof dish, I just added the sausages and some sunflower oil and then banged them into the oven just to get a little bit of colour. And then I weighed out some plain flour and then the milk, and then I cracked in 2 eggs into the jug, and just give them a little stir, and then added them into the flour to make the batter for the Yorkshire pudding. Once your batter is made, you want to pop that into the fridge to cool for at least 20 minutes just to get it really nice and cold, so when it hits the hot oil it starts to puff up. And then into the sausages I've added a little bit more sunflower oil, popped that back in the oven so it's nice and hot, and then I poured in the batter mix. This starts to cook immediately in the oil, and then pop it straight into the oven as fast as you possibly can, and don't open the door, so that's when the magic starts to happen. And then look at that, that is one giant toad in the hole. You can of course do miniature ones if you prefer, but we just do a big one to serve up. It serves, I'd say, around 2 to 3 people. It is delicious. We're just serving it with some mashed potato and some peas. So today is Wednesday and I am making a deliciously simple 5-ingredient Papa alla Pomodoro soup, which translates to a nice rustic hearty tomato soup. It's absolutely delicious. 5 ingredients, something you can make during the day and have it for dinner, or you can have it for lunch. It's an absolute classic. It makes about 4 hefty portions, so it's good for a family. It's absolutely delicious. Let's get cracking. Okay, so the next recipe is the Papa alla Pomodoro soup, and this is from Jamie Oliver's 5 ingredients, so I can't actually take credit for this recipe, but it is brilliant. So you're going to need a basil plant or a handful of basil, some stale bread, I've got tiger bread and sourdough, some tomatoes. If you can't find canned tomatoes, you can of course use fresh and just chop them up, some cheese or vegetarian hard cheese or parmesan, and some garlic. So first you want to start by peeling and chopping your garlic. I used around 4 cloves in total because I absolutely love garlic, but use as much or as little as you'd like. And then into a high-sided saucepan I added some olive oil, and then I just lightly fried the garlic. You don't want it to brown or anything like that, you just want the flavours to release. And like I said, I just chopped up our tomatoes. Of course, if you are using canned tomatoes, if you manage to find some, by all means do use those. But like I say, if you can find fresh, just use that. And then fry them down in a little bit of salt and the garlic. And this just makes the most amazing base to your soup. Now taking your stale bread, you can of course use whatever bread you've got. Focaccia works really well, ciabatta. But like I say, I'm just using a mix of some ends that we had of loaves. And it's absolutely perfect for the soup. It just adds a really nice consistency. And then into the pan add some recently boiled kettle water, and then grab a handful of basil leaves and just tear them up and then add them into the soup, and then give everything a nice little stir, and then add in your bread. So you just want to make sure all the bread is nice and coated, and just leave this for around 10 minutes just to soak up, and then season it with some parmesan or hard vegetarian cheese, and then that is it. Literally it takes no time at all, guys. You can have this as a lunch, or we're having it as a dinner, and all we do to finish it off is just tear some fresh basil, a little grating of some parmesan or hard cheese, pepper and olive oil, and that is it. So it is Thursday, and this evening we are having a roasted root vegetable pie. Now this is a tricky one actually, because this recipe is from Jamie Oliver's 5 ingredients and it usually uses chicken. We're substituting chicken with a bit of root veg, so it's going to be a root veg pie. Those of you who are eagle-eyed, these are your ingredients. Now, we do have an excess leek, well, a pretty big leek in our fridge, so I'm going to put this in anyway. However, it's not mandatory. You can make this, of course, with just essentially 5 ingredients, which is whole grain mustard. So this is like a nice mustardy sauce, some double cream, some puff pastry, 3 large carrots, and ideally you'd have 3 large parsnips or another root veg of your choice, but our parsnips are looking a little bit past their best. So what I thought we could do is pop in the leek and make it a leek, parsnip and carrot pie. And the only other ingredient, as I said at the start, if you do class this as an ingredient, is stock. But I'd hope that everyone does have stock in their house, stock cubes or some kind of stock broth. So yeah, these are your 5/6 ingredients. Of course, if you are doing chicken, just substitute one of these and put some chicken in it. So the 4th dish that we are making is this delicious roasted root veg pie. So I'm starting by just chopping up the carrots and parsnips. No way in this at all, guys, just making sure that they're all equal size as they cook. And then I half the leek and just give that a nice little wash, and then I just chop that up fairly thin as well. And then I add the leek to the pan. This is a heat-proof pan that can actually go in the oven. If you do have one of these, I would highly recommend it, or you can just do it in a normal frying pan and then transfer it to a pie dish. So into the iron skillet, I just added some oil and a little bit of salt, and then I added 2 teaspoons of whole grain mustard just to get it all nice and soft. And then I added 2 stock cubes. I think around 1.5 is probably the sweet spot for this. It was quite rich, but yeah, 2 stock cubes to the leeks.
and then I just softened them down nicely, and then I added the double cream. I had a little bit to start off with, and then I added a little bit more once it had all reduced down. And then I just added the root vegetables, so we've got the carrots and parsnips going in now, and then just gave everything a stir to make sure it was all combined. And then I just topped it with a sheet of puff pastry. So I cut this down to measure and then just trimmed away the corners. And then just using my hands, being very careful of the pan, because obviously it's going to be really hot. Or if you're using a pie dish, just don't worry. You can just tuck the puff pastry in. You haven't got to be too careful or pristine. It just looks really nice. And then I just cut a little slit in the middle just to let the pie breathe so you don't get soggy pastry. And I popped that into a preheated oven around 200 degrees for around 20 to 25 minutes until it came out a nice golden brown colour. And again, this pie can serve, I'd say, a family of 4, absolutely. We just served it with some steamed broccoli on the side, but you can do whatever you fancy, or just have the pie as it is, but it is absolutely delicious. And of course, being from the north, we have to finish it with a bit of gravy, because pie and gravy is one of life's little joys.
So today is Friday, and this is the last installation of our midweek meals with 5 ingredients, and this evening we are making a mushroom and caramelised red onion tart. Super easy, super simple. It combines puff pastry, which you know I absolutely love. It's such a good staple ingredient to have in the fridge, so I'm going to show you what you need.
Okay, so these are the 5 ingredients you're going to need. You're going to need some chestnut mushrooms, some red onions, some pesto, some mature cheddar cheese, and some puff pastry. Okay, so to make these easy tarts, you want to first pop a baking sheet into the oven to preheat around 200 degrees, and then we just chopped up some chestnut mushrooms, and then I peeled a red onion and peeled it apart to make petals, and then I just lightly fried that in a bit of olive oil in a pan just to soften it down. Another one of the stock up ingredient, guys, is balsamic vinegar. If you don't have this, you can just use a little bit of brown sugar. That works really well. So just in a pan, just saute that down, and then you want to start caramelizing it. So you can add some water, is what I did, just to make sure it all goes nice and molassesy. And then take the baking sheet out of the oven and add 2 of your puff pastry squares. And then I topped each puff pastry square with some pesto, just to make sure it was nice and even, and I spread it to near enough about, let's say, a centimetre from the corners. And then I topped it with the chopped up mushrooms. There's no way you have to do this, guys, just make it however you'd like. And then I added the caramelized balsamic onions. So look how good these look. They look really, really nice and reduced and sticky and sweet. They are amazing. Making sure you just spread them out so you get each part of the mushroom and onion. And then I just added some black pepper on top, and then some mature cheddar cheese. Of course, you can use whatever cheese you fancy if you've got mozzarella lying around, or you can leave the cheese completely. And then just pop them back into the oven for around 20 minutes just to get nice and golden brown. We just served it with a little simple side salad, so we did some spinach, so I was chopping some cucumber, and then we did some tomato as well. And that's it, guys. Look how good they look. They are absolutely delicious. Definitely worth trying. Super quick as well. They took literally like half an hour start to finish. And that is the tart. It's perfect for 2, or you can do a giant tart for a family of 4. So that is everything, guys. I really hope you have enjoyed these 5 ingredient 5 midweek meals. If you have, as always, do click subscribe and give it a thumbs up, and let me know as well if you've got any recipe ideas or things that you want to come soon. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're all staying safe, and I'll catch you very soon. Bye for now.